Well, hello there. This is Vitriol's the Chess Noob, learning and having fun with chess. In this game, I played against a Caro-Kann. And this game, I think, is a good demonstration of a particular middle game tactic that I've been using, which is really to very early plan and launch an attack against the opponent. Let's go have a look to see what that looks like. So I've got a white pieces in this game, and so as usual, e4, and my opponent played a Caro-Kann, so c6, that's okay, d4, d5, knight c3, all very normal. Now here my opponent from the UK was just experimenting with the Caro-Kann, so plays a unusual move. Now I don't know the Caro-Kann enough to know that that was a mistake. I thought that was probably wrong, but I didn't have the gumption to immediately take. I worried that this was somehow some sort of unusual line. So in this case, I just developed conservatively. So developed the other knight, continue to develop. And here I thought, okay, I think black's going to try to castle kingside. And so short castles, my king's out of there. Basically, for me, I'm about to be in the middle game. Obviously, black hasn't fully developed yet, and I'm already thinking I'm going to launch an attack. And if I'm going to launch an attack, I'm going to try to launch an attack on the king side. They play this move, which I was pretty sure was going to be a bad move because that goes nowhere. My king's on this side. And so what am I going to do? Well, to launch an attack, what I want to do is I potentially want to close off the center. I want to move all my pieces to the king side so I can launch a king side attack. I'm going to make the prediction that black is going to castle this side because, they only have to develop their knight to castle. Well, there's quite a lot they have to do on this side, not to mention they've already moved those pawns. So close the center, move my pieces to the king side, and that's what I'm going to do. So first step, let's jam it shut. So one of the things is if you can get a wall of pawns pointing towards where the opponent's king is, it's like a fence. It closes off the potential ability for black to launch an attack against yourself and also to mobilize pieces on into the defense of their king. So I think they worked out that that knight wasn't doing anything there, so they moved it back. So I basically won some tempo. Now let's move this knight onto the king side. So rotate across. They're trying to crack down the center. They haven't fully developed yet. That's fine. Let's close that off. A lovely wall of pawns. They're sort of still playing around on the queen side. Doesn't matter. Move my pieces over. I'm going to maneuver these knights to potentially launch an attack. And you'll see that Stockfish doesn't think that I move my knights in the most effective or most accurate way. But it ends up not really making a difference. So here they now develop their knight. Yep, so they're really looking like they want to castle kingside. Now the G5 square I want to potentially get good coverage of. So that's why I decided to move my knight here. So now there's 1, 2, 3 attackers or defenders of that square. And here we go. They bring that forward. That seems to be okay. And now I jump my knight forward. So here it doesn't seem to make sense for them to try to take my knight. And potentially that knight covers those 2 squares. They castle. And you can see that was a mistake. It was a mistake by white because I'm setting up for a big attack on the king side and they moved into it. I've constructed the future in which they're going to be in trouble. Now, here I decide to play immediately aggressively before they have a chance to coordinate. And basically, psychologically, when you hit your opponent with multiple attacks and hits, you not only gain the momentum, you also gain a psychological advantage. Sacrifice. Knight captures. So that's technically a mistake. I lose some of my advantage, but I gain psychological advantage. They take back. Now I get rid of their defender on that side. Bishop captures. Check. Another audacious move. Black is actually a little bit ahead here. Take. That's fine. And now queen infiltrates with check. King forced to go back. And now I would like to get my knight there because that's a very winning attack, but of course that's defended by 2 pieces. So what did I do? Another audacious move, the bishop challenging that diagonal. Now here, what I expected black to do was they were going to calculate. So, they've been sucked into my lines, basically, because basically I've gained the psychological momentum. I expected them to calculate. What if I take? If they take, I take back, and then it looks like they're going to have to trade their queen for my knight to prevent mate. So they're not going to want to do that. They're going to look, okay, what if I just let them take my piece? They go, oh, look, it looks like that's defended. Looks like that's fine. And that's what I expected them to do. They're going to say, look, me taking is bad. Them taking seems fine. And potentially they're not going to have, not going to think about pushing these pawns because it looks like it weakens the defense of their king, even though that they're the correct moves. They thought for quite a while, and eventually I think they decided, yep, I'll let them capture. I don't think they will. I'm going to push one of my queenside pawns. And you can see massive blunder. They needed to move some of these other pieces because here I am going to take. Bishop captures bishop, queen captures back, knight jumps forward. There's an immediate mate threat. And pretty much the only way black can now prevent checkmate is to trade their queen for my knight to remove that, that double attack. They couldn't contemplate doing that. To them, it seemed like it was just too big a sacrifice. They tried to bring their knight, defending here, but take, and now I've completely blocked off that little alcove. They try to give a space. It doesn't work. Queen, check, and here my opponent opted to resign because they're forced now to have only one move, and queen to h8 or queen captures g7 are both mate. Good game, GG. The big takeaway from this game is a quote from Tartakawa. The first essential of an attack is the will to attack. You are much more likely to predict the future lines of the game if you construct that future by setting up a plan early on. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.